Why does your morning erection disappear long before your sex drive does? That is the question almost every man asks silently, but very few dare to say out loud. And if you are waking up with a softer penis, a weaker erection, or no morning rigidity at all, you need to understand something crucial. This is not random, it is not just age, and it is not a sign that your masculinity is fading. It is your body sending a warning signal that most men ignore until the problem becomes impossible to hide. Morning erections are not about sex. They are about circulation. They are the clearest daily indicator of how well blood is moving into the penis, how responsive your blood vessels are, and how strong your nighttime hormonal cycle still is. When those early morning erections fade, it means the tiny arteries that feed the penis are struggling. And those microvessels are the first to weaken after 50. Before you notice changes during sex, before you experience performance issues, the morning erection quietly disappears as a biological alarm bell. Think back a few years. Remember how your penis reacted the moment you opened your eyes? Hard, full, heavy, almost automatic. That wasn't luck. That was nitric oxide working at full power, relaxing your blood vessels so blood could surge into the penis effortlessly. But after 50, nitric oxide production drops, circulation becomes slower, and the penis no longer receives that strong pressure wave in the morning. That is why men report waking up half hard or not hard at all, even when desire is still alive. And here is the part nobody tells you: losing your morning erection does not start in the bedroom. It starts in your daily routine. Poor sleep, shallow breathing, high stress, late night eating, mineral deficiencies, and nighttime blood vessel stiffness slowly shut down the system that creates natural morning erections. Your penis is not failing. Your body is tired, inflamed, and asking for help. So before you think something is wrong with you as a man, understand this is biology, not failure. And once you understand the mechanism, you can restore it. Many of my patients recover their morning erection by adjusting simple habits, boosting blood flow, and repairing their nighttime recovery cycle, and what you will hear next will show you exactly how to do that. You have probably felt this shift happening, that moment you wake up, check your body, and think, why is my erection weaker today? If you have gone through this, tell me your experience in the comments. Understanding your own pattern helps you fix the problem sooner. And while you are here, give this video a like and check if you are subscribed, because what you will discover next may surprise you and help you reclaim the strong, reliable morning erections you thought were gone. Let's keep going, because the next part reveals what actually shuts down your morning rigidity and how to take control again. When you understand that your morning erection is a direct reflection of circulation, the next question becomes unavoidable: what actually controls that blood flow inside the penis? And this is where most men discover a truth they were never told. Your ability to wake up with a hard, full erection depends almost entirely on one invisible molecule, nitric oxide. Without enough of it, even a healthy heart and normal testosterone levels cannot produce the morning rigidity you used to take for granted. Nitric oxide is the chemical signal that tells your blood vessels to relax. When it surges, the arteries expand, pressure rises, and blood fills the chambers of the penis with force. This is what creates a strong erection during the day and a spontaneous erection in the morning. But after your 50s and 60s, nitric oxide drops dramatically. The endothelial lining of your blood vessels, the thin inner layer responsible for releasing this molecule, becomes less responsive. Years of stress, poor sleep, heavy meals, high blood sugar, and subtle inflammations slowly weaken this system until it stops firing at night. And this is why your penis becomes the first place to show a problem. The arteries inside the penis are tiny, much smaller than the arteries in your heart or legs. When nitric oxide is low, those small vessels fail before anything else. Morning erections weaken not because of age alone, but because the biochemical switch that used to turn them on simply isn't activating the way it used to. You may have noticed this change gradually. At first, the erection is still there, but softer. Then it comes later in the morning instead of right after you wake up. Then it becomes inconsistent. And finally, it stops showing up at all. This progression is almost always tied to declining nitric oxide. What's important to understand is that this shift does not happen overnight. It builds silently over years, influenced by your routines, your sleep quality, and your vascular health. The surprising part is how sensitive the penis is to even small drops in nitric oxide. A single night of poor sleep, dehydration, or elevated stress hormones can weaken your morning erection the next day. Over time, these small hits accumulate. In your 20s, your body compensates easily. In your 50s and 60s, the system doesn't bounce back as quickly, especially if your vessels are already stiff from years of underuse or inflammation. This also explains why some men still perform reasonably well during sex but wake up with no morning hardness. Daytime erections rely more on stimulation and adrenaline. Morning erections rely almost entirely on automatic nitric oxide release and smooth nighttime circulation. When this natural system weakens, the morning erection fades long before sexual erections do. But here is the encouraging truth: nitric oxide is not a lost cause. Your body can increase its production dramatically with the right inputs. Certain foods, minerals, breathing patterns, circulation-boosting habits, and nighttime routines can wake up that natural mechanism again. The problem is that most men have no idea which habits support nitric oxide and which habits destroy it. And restoring your morning erection requires knowing exactly how to reverse the underlying vascular slowdown, not just reacting to the symptoms. The body is always communicating. A weak or missing morning erection is simply the earliest message that your nitric oxide system needs attention. Once you understand that message, everything that comes next becomes logical, practical, and fixable. And now that you understand the molecule behind the loss of morning rigidity, the next part explains the daily mistake that quietly shuts this system down without you even realizing it. To understand why your morning erection disappears, you have to look at the quiet habits that damage your nitric oxide system long before you feel anything in your penis. Most men think erectile problems begin suddenly, but the truth is far more subtle. The decline almost always starts with one daily mistake repeated for years, allowing your body to operate in a constant state of tension and inflammation. This combination silently strangles blood flow, stiffens the arteries, and weakens the very mechanism responsible for your morning erection. Think about your routine. You wake up rushed, your mind already racing, cortisol elevated before your feet even touch the floor. You grab coffee on an empty stomach, spike your blood pressure, skip proper hydration, sit for hours without movement, and push through the day running on stress hormones. By the time night comes, your body is still wired, not relaxed. And a body stuck in stress mode cannot produce nitric oxide efficiently. Nitric oxide requires calm, oxygen-rich circulation, and a relaxed vascular system. Stress does the opposite. It tightens the arteries and forces blood away from the penis. Then comes the second part of the problem: the foods and drinks you consume without realizing their impact. Heavy dinners, late-night snacks, sugary foods, processed meals high in sodium, alcohol before bed, these choices increase inflammation and thicken the blood. And when inflammation rises, nitric oxide production falls. Those small arteries inside the penis are the first to react. Overnight blood flow becomes sluggish, and the morning erection that used to appear like clockwork simply fails to show. But the most overlooked habit, the one almost every man ignores, is the way poor sleep shuts down the entire erection system. When you don't reach deep sleep or lose the REM cycles that trigger nighttime erections, your penis essentially goes offline. It doesn't receive the repeated surges of blood flow it needs to stay healthy. Without these nocturnal erections, the tissues inside the penis lose elasticity, the vessels become rigid, and the natural morning erection loses strength day after day. This creates a vicious cycle. Poor sleep reduces nitric oxide. Low nitric oxide reduces nighttime erections. Fewer nighttime erections weaken the morning erection. And once this cycle starts, it accelerates unless you interrupt it intentionally. Add to that dehydration, hours of sitting, shallow breathing, and lack of morning oxygenation, and you have the perfect storm for destroying morning rigidity without ever noticing the damage being done. Another daily mistake comes from something even simpler: ignoring the early signs. Men often dismiss weaker morning erections as just getting older, but this mindset delays action and allows the vascular decline to continue unchecked. The penis never loses function overnight. It loses function through hundreds of small moments when circulation could have been supported but wasn't. Even emotional patterns play a major role. Chronic worry, hidden anxiety, suppressed frustration, these states keep your nervous system in a tight, constricted mode. A constricted nervous system means constricted blood vessels. And constricted blood vessels mean your penis is not receiving the pressure it needs at the precise moment when your body is designed to deliver it. The most powerful realization is this: the habits that weaken your morning erection do not feel dramatic. They feel normal. They feel routine. That is why they are so dangerous. You don't notice the decline until the body finally speaks loudly, through softer erections, fewer morning reactions, and longer recovery times. But once you identify these daily patterns, you can reverse them. You can restore the conditions your body needs to produce nitric oxide naturally and bring back the morning erection that once signaled vitality, strong circulation, and hormonal balance. And the next part reveals how circulation itself becomes the most important factor in that restoration. When you start paying attention to the silent habits that damage your erection, everything eventually points to one core system: your vascular health. The strength of your morning erection is not controlled by testosterone alone, nor by desire, nor by age. It is controlled by the microscopic highways of blood that feed the penis. And these tiny vessels are far more sensitive than most men realize. Even small changes in vascular flexibility can completely alter your morning rigidity long before you notice problems during sex. Inside the penis, the arteries that must open to create an erection are extremely narrow. They demand clean blood flow, soft vessel walls, and a steady release of nitric oxide to relax and expand. When these vessels start to stiffen, even slightly, the pressure wave required to fill the erectile chambers weakens. That is why your penis may feel full one morning, softer the next, and completely unresponsive on another. It is not inconsistency. It is microcirculation struggling to perform under stress. This vascular stiffness can happen for many reasons. High blood sugar creates a sticky environment that reduces the ability of blood to move smoothly. Chronic inflammation from poor diet or stress makes vessel walls rigid instead of elastic. Low magnesium levels can prevent the arteries from relaxing, while deficiencies in nitrates and antioxidants reduce nitric oxide production. Even shallow breathing habits reduce the oxygen that your blood vessels need to stay responsive. And because the penile arteries are so small, they react to these changes faster than any other part of the body. You may have noticed sensations that you brushed off: a colder feeling in the groin, slower reactions to stimulation, delayed fullness, or a heavier, more fatigued quality to your erections. These sensations are not random, they are microcirculation feedback. They are the body's way of telling you that pressure is not reaching its destination. And this is exactly why the morning erection disappears first. Morning erections depend entirely on an automatic, reflexive expansion of those tiny arteries. If they cannot open fully, the erection simply does not form. Another factor that men rarely consider is how nightly repair depends on vascular flexibility. During deep sleep, the body restores tissues through oxygen delivery and subtle increases in blood flow. If your microcirculation is compromised, the penis receives less of this nightly recovery. Without proper nighttime oxygenation, the spongy erectile tissues become less elastic, the vessel lining becomes less responsive, and the natural pulsations that trigger morning erections become weaker. This is also why some men with normal libido still lose their morning erection. Sexual desire comes from the brain. Morning erections come from circulation. If the blood cannot reach the penis with force, desire alone is not enough to create rigidity. The hormonal cycle may be working, but the physical structure is not responding. One of the most revealing signs of vascular decline is the reduction of spontaneous erections during the night. These nocturnal erections are essential because they serve as maintenance. They stretch the tissues, bathe the cells in oxygen, and keep the erectile chambers flexible. When microcirculation is compromised, these nocturnal cycles become shorter, weaker, or stop entirely. Without them, the morning erection fades quickly. What surprises most men is how reversible this process is. Once the vessels begin to soften again, once inflammation decreases, once nitric oxide production rises and microcirculation opens, the morning erection often returns earlier than expected. The penis responds quickly when blood flow is restored because it is designed to be one of the most vascularly active organs in the body. Understanding this connection between vascular health and morning rigidity is the turning point. And now that you see how microcirculation shapes the quality of your morning erection, the next part reveals how sleep and your hormonal rhythm decide whether that blood flow is triggered at the right moment when you open your eyes. Once you understand how microcirculation controls the strength of your morning erection, the next layer of the puzzle becomes clear: your sleep cycle. Most men never realize how deeply their erection depends on the quality of their nighttime restoration. Morning erections are not triggered by desire or stimulation. They are triggered by a precise hormonal rhythm and a sequence of neurological signals that only occur when your body enters deep, restorative sleep. If this rhythm is disrupted, even slightly, the erection that should appear naturally at dawn weakens or disappears entirely. During the night, your body moves through stages of sleep, but it is the REM phase that plays the greatest role in producing nocturnal and morning erections. In REM sleep, your nervous system temporarily shifts into a relaxed, parasympathetic state. This is the only state in which the blood vessels in the penis open freely and nitric oxide is released at full capacity. When REM cycles are cut short or fragmented, the penis simply does not receive the repeated surges of blood flow it needs to stay responsive. This is why men who wake up multiple times at night, even for reasons unrelated to the bedroom, often notice their morning erection becoming weaker. Every interruption breaks the cycle. Without continuous REM sleep, the automatic erections that maintain the elasticity of the penile tissues become inconsistent or vanish. The penis loses its nightly workout, and by morning, the vessels remain partially constricted, unable to create the rigidity they once produced effortlessly. Your hormonal rhythm also plays an essential role. Testosterone naturally peaks in the early morning hours, and this surge is one of the triggers for morning erection. But this hormonal peak only occurs properly when sleep is deep and uninterrupted. Late-night meals, blue light exposure, high stress, alcohol, or even going to bed with a racing mind can blunt this hormonal rise. When testosterone fails to spike, the erection signal weakens. This does not mean your testosterone is clinically low, it means the cycle that controls it is not functioning at full strength. Another overlooked factor is oxygenation. During deep sleep, breathing becomes slower, deeper, and more efficient, saturating your blood with oxygen. This oxygen is what keeps the erectile tissues healthy and responsive. If you snore, breathe shallowly, or experience drops in oxygen during the night, the tissues inside the penis receive less nourishment. Over time, this reduces the quality of nighttime and morning erections. Many men do not realize that even mild airway restriction can have a direct impact on erection hardness the next day. Your nighttime habits also shape the outcome. Drinking alcohol before bed may make you feel relaxed, but it prevents deep sleep, stiffens blood vessels, and interferes with hormone release. Eating late at night forces your system to digest when it should be repairing. falling asleep in a state of mental stress activates cortisol and adrenaline, both of which suppress nitric oxide. Each of these factors chips away at the conditions your body needs to produce a firm morning erection. All of these elements reveal something important: the morning erection is not a simple reaction. It is the final result of multiple systems working in harmony: circulation, hormones, oxygenation, and neurological balance. When one part falls out of rhythm, the chain breaks, and the erection weakens long before you notice changes during sex. But the encouraging part is that restoring these sleep-dependent processes often brings noticeable improvement within days. The body responds quickly when it is given the conditions it needs. And now that you understand how sleep and hormonal rhythm shape your morning erection, the next part will guide you into the practical morning protocol that reactivates blood flow, boosts nitric oxide, and helps restore the natural rigidity you expect when you open your eyes. Now that you understand how sleep, hormones, and circulation work together to create a strong morning erection, the next step is learning the practical routine that helps reactivate this entire system. A morning erection is not formed the moment you wake up. It is built during the night, supported by your habits, and strengthened in the first minutes of the day. What you do, or fail to do, right after opening your eyes has a direct impact on how your vascular system performs tomorrow morning. A precise morning protocol can restore the natural surge of blood flow into the penis and gradually bring back the rigidity you expect at dawn. The first element of this protocol is hydration. After 7 or 8 hours without water, your blood becomes thicker and moves more slowly. Thick blood cannot travel easily through the tiny penile arteries that must expand. For an erection, drinking water immediately after waking up begins thinning the blood, improving circulation, and preparing the vessels to receive nitric oxide signaling again. This simple step alone creates a noticeable difference for many men within a few days. The second step involves oxygenation. Your penis depends on oxygen-rich blood to regain elasticity, and most men breathe shallowly in the morning, especially if they wake up with tension. Slow, deep nasal breathing for just a few minutes increases oxygen saturation and relaxes the vascular system. When blood vessels relax, pressure can move more freely into the erectile tissues. This gentle shift toward parasympathetic activity signals your body that it is safe to release nitric oxide again. The third step is movement. You do not need exercise, you need circulation. Light stretching, walking around your home, or simple mobility movements send blood surging into the lower body. This increases pressure in the pelvic region, supports the arteries that feed the penis, and wakes up dormant microcirculation. Many men underestimate how quickly pelvic blood flow responds to even small changes in activity. After age 50, movement becomes one of the most powerful tools for restoring morning erections. The fourth element is nutrition. What you consume early in the day can either boost nitric oxide or shut it down. Foods high in natural nitrates, such as leafy greens, beets, citrus, and pomegranate, feed the biochemical pathway that generates nitric oxide. When consumed consistently, they rebuild the body's ability to send blood into the penis with force. Combining these foods with minerals like magnesium and potassium helps relax the arteries and enhances the morning erection response over time. Another crucial part of the protocol is reducing morning stress. Your nervous system determines whether your blood vessels open or close. If you wake up immediately diving into problems, messages, or mental tension, your arteries constrict and your nitric oxide system shuts down. Taking just a few minutes to center your mind creates the internal environment necessary for strong blood flow. Calmness is not just emotional, it is biological. Lastly, exposure to natural light helps regulate your circadian rhythm. This strengthens the hormonal balance that supports testosterone levels and deepens your sleep cycle the following night. Restoring this rhythm is one of the most reliable ways to bring back consistent morning erections because it synchronizes the internal systems that control vascular function. Together, these steps create the foundation for restoring morning rigidity. Hydration improves blood flow. Oxygenation relaxes vessels. Movement increases pelvic circulation. Strategic nutrition boosts nitric oxide. Stress reduction opens the vascular pathways. Light exposure stabilizes your hormones. Each element strengthens the next, forming a cycle that your body can rely on every morning. And once this protocol becomes part of your routine, you set the stage for something even more powerful, a fully structured method that targets the root cause of weakened morning erections and rebuilds the system from the inside out. That is exactly what the next part will reveal, drawing from the daily practices that have helped countless men recover the firmness and confidence they thought they had lost. When you begin applying the morning protocol consistently, your body starts to shift in ways that many men have not felt in years. But to restore a strong, reliable morning erection day after day, you need a complete daily method that aligns your circulation, hormones, nitric oxide system, and nighttime recovery into one unified rhythm. This is the method I teach to my own patients when they want to regain firmness, sensitivity, and the natural confidence that comes from waking up with a hard, full erection again. It is simple, practical, and designed for men over 50 whose bodies no longer respond the way they once did. The foundation of this method begins the night before. Your morning erection is built in the hours leading up to sleep. A lighter evening meal reduces inflammation and keeps your blood thin enough to travel through the narrow penile arteries. Ending your day with deep breathing or slow stretching lowers cortisol, signaling your vessels to relax. And maintaining a dark, cool sleeping environment preserves your REM cycles, which is when the body automatically triggers nocturnal erections that keep the tissues flexible. The next part happens while you sleep. Your body enters its repair mode, restoring hormones, softening the vessel walls, and preparing the endothelial lining to release nitric oxide again. Every uninterrupted sleep cycle strengthens this system. Over time, these nightly surges of blood flow rebuild the erectile tissues from the inside, allowing the penis to respond with greater pressure when morning arrives. But the true transformation happens when you combine nighttime repair with your intentional morning routine. Hydrating as soon as you wake up thins the blood. Deep breathing restores oxygen. Light movement activates pelvic circulation. And natural nitrate-rich foods boost nitric oxide so your vessels can open fully. Each of these steps creates the internal momentum that pushes strong blood flow into the penis the next day, reinforcing the cycle that was disrupted by age, stress, and lifestyle. Then comes the final layer of the method, consistency. A single day will not change your erection. But repeated days create a cumulative effect, strengthening the vascular response, reactivating the endothelial cells, and restoring the automatic mechanism that produces a firm morning erection. When men commit to this process, they often report that the first sign of improvement is a subtle fullness, then a quicker response, and finally the return of the strong, effortless rigidity they thought was gone forever. And as this cycle rebuilds itself, something else changes. Confidence returns. Energy rises. Desire becomes more natural. The body begins to feel younger because the systems that control erection are the same systems that control overall vitality. Restoring your morning erection is not only about sex, it is about reclaiming health, strength, and the biological rhythm that supports your entire life. If you have followed this far, you already know your erection is not a mystery, and it is not random. Your body responds when you give it what it needs. And now that you understand the full method, you have the tools to rebuild the firmness, the circulation, and the morning vitality you deserve. If this message resonated with you, let me know in the comments using the phrase "this message was for me." It helps me understand how many men out there are ready to take back control of their sexual health. And if you found value in this conversation, consider subscribing so you can continue receiving guidance that strengthens your body from the inside out. A like also helps reinforce the content you want to see more of. And if you feel ready to go even deeper, there is another video right here that expands on the next step of this journey. Click and continue with me there.